Welcome to Mo's World, the baseball podcast. Yes, it's another baseball podcast where we talk about baseball like a few friends sitting at the bar. We value your input and would love to hear your comments. Tell your friends about the podcast if you enjoy listening. We are celebrating our 10th episode on Mo's World, the baseball podcast. For all our returning listeners, I want to thank you for your patience and interest in the podcast. For any new listeners, thanks for stopping by. We hope you enjoy the show, and we are still working on poor audio conditions, for which we apologize, but we hope it's getting better this show. This week, on episode 10, we're discussing Mike Trout. Yep, he is hurt again and out for the season. Is this the end of the dominance of Mike Trout? Mike's often been regarded as one of the greatest baseball players of his generation. He has had a career filled with remarkable achievements and accolades. Since making his Major League Baseball in 2011 with the Los Angeles Angels, Trout has consistently been a dominant force on the field. His combination of power, speed, and defensive prowess has earned him multiple MVP awards and All-Star selections. However, Trout's career has also been marred by injuries. As of October 2023, he was facing another significant setback after being sidelined for the remainder of the season due to injury. This latest injury raises concerns about his long-term health and his ability to perform at an elite level moving forward. Now, Trout's his history with injuries has various ailments that have caused him to miss substantial playing time over the years. In 2017, he suffered a torn ligament in his thumb that required surgery, and he missed 47 games. In 2018, he dealt with wrist injury that limited his performance. In 2020, a calf strain kept him out for a significant portion of the season. 2021, he sustained a calf strain again that led to an Achilles issue, causing him to miss most of the season. At 139 days on the injured list. In 2022, officially Trout was diagnosed with a sore back. His back began to act up early in July, and he landed on the injured list on July 15th. At the time of the injury, Trout was hitting .270 and having a good season. In 2023, 89 days was spent on 2 stints on the injured list. Trout broke the hamate in his left hand taking a swing on July 3rd, 2023, and underwent surgery soon thereafter. 2024, a torn meniscus on April 30th, and he had surgery soon after, limiting his appearances. Then, the big news on August 1st, it was announced that the meniscus is torn again, and his season is over. Now, this pattern of reoccurring injuries raises questions about whether he is simply having bad luck or if there's some underlying issues affecting his durability. I can't believe he's hurt again. Another season cut short. I'm getting very concerned of this apparent trend he's in. Now, taking a look at his career, he's had a great career, right? I mean, there's reasons why we're comparing him to some greats because he started hot right out of the box. It was his second year he led the majors in runs scored with 129. He had 49 stolen bases, but that's been diminishing through the years. I don't think Trout, even with these new rules in place, would steal 10 bases. I mean, his stolen base record went from 49 in 2012 to 33 to 16 to 11. Then he bumped it back up to 30 in 2016, had 22 and 24. Now, the reason he hasn't had that many stolen bases is because he hasn't played. Since 2019, he hasn't played at all. Now, he also led the league in walks. Of course, we know him for his on-base percentage, his slugging, his OPS. His OPS plus is through the roof. And, that's why we think of Trout. But the question now, it has to come up, right? Is this the end of Mike Trout's dominance? Well, it may be too early to definitively say that Trout's career is coming to an end. These injuries certainly impact both his current performance and his future potential. Now, the physical toll of these injuries, can take a play on the body. As players age, their recovery times increase, and they may not bounce back as quickly from injuries. For someone like Trout, who relies heavily on speed and agility, any decline in physical capability could significantly affect his game. As far as using today's metrics, historically Trout has maintained impressive statistics throughout his career. Batting averages above 300, high on-base percentages, slugging percentages, everything I just talked about. Now, the team dynamics, I think that's the thing that gets pushed off to the side. We know the Angels suck, and they've struggled continuously. And they've had players like Shohei Ohtani, and even though we've talked about Albert Pujols and his lack of production, but he's still there, right? Now, if Trout cannot stay healthy enough to contribute consistently, it could hinder the team's chances at competing for a playoff spot in championships. Now, I say that, but it's like the Angels in the playoffs, in the championships, hey, keep dreaming. It's not going to happen. So, I don't know. I'm trying to be a little unbiased with that. Legacy considerations, I think this has a big play. Injuries can also affect how players are remembered historically. While Trout's early career achievements are totally undeniable, prolonged absence from the field may lead fans and analysts to question what could have been had he remained healthy throughout his prime. So, I know, I'm old, but holy cow. Mike Trout made his major league debut in 2011 at the age of 19. Now, he is in his 14th year in the majors and is 32. However, my concern is that this is his 8th year in a row he has not played 150 plus games in a season. It's challenging to be the best player in the league if you're not consistently on the field. It's really as simple as that. So, looking at Mike Trout, you look at his on-base percentage was always the thing that stood out early in his career. In 2012 to 2019, his on-base numbers ranged from 399 in 2012, 432, 377, 402, and then in 2016 he really picked it up with a 441, a 442 the following year. 2018 was 460, and in 2019 it was 438. Now, Mike Trout has been compared to the greats, especially Mickey Mantle, and some have said he's the greatest player of our generation, which can be defined as a range from about 20 to 30 years. So, I would have to totally agree with that and say Mike Trout is the best player in the past 2 generations of ball players. Do you agree that Mike Trout is the best player since the 60s? Let me know. Drop me a line. It's something to think about when you put it into this kind of context. If anything, he's been a damn good player who's fun to watch defensively in center field and in hitting. How long did he dominate? I'd have to say from 2012 to 2019, a 7-year span, Mike Trout was the best player in the major leagues. Now, it's unfortunate he has experienced major injuries since then, but just look at the amount of games played since 2020. 2020, he played 53 games. Following year, in 2021, he played 36. 2022, he played a whopping 119. In 2017, he played 82. And in this year's contract, well, he's only going to play 29 games. So that's 319 games played in 5 years. No wonder the Angels suck. You can't be a leader on your team if you're not on the field. As great as Mike Trout is when he is healthy, we can no longer think of him as the man. Sorry, it's just the reality of missing extensive amount of games played. How can the Angels seriously rely on him each year? They can't. And their play shows how much they miss him. Now, here's a scary thought with Mike Trout and his current trend. What if Mike Trout returns next year and plays his average of 64 games due to injury issues and then continues to play an additional 4 years, totaling about 255 games played? This would put him at a 19-year career by the time he reaches 37. It's a concerning thought for a player with his exceptional talent if he plays for 19 years and only 7 of those years would be considered dominant. Despite his incredible talent, his struggles with injuries could put his once guaranteed election to the Baseball Hall of Fame in major jeopardy. Am I crazy in thinking this? Well, let's compare Mike Trout's first 9 seasons to his old teammate, Albert Pujols' career. Now, Albert Pujols made his debut in 2001 at age 21 and had a great 12 years to start his career. He was also in a productive stretch from about 2014 at age 34 to 2017 at age 37, like he had a revitalization or something. So that's 16 out of 22 years in his 22-year career of being dominant and productive. That's impressive. You know, I thought that he had, his last 10 years of his career was shit. But, looking back on it, they were shit because what he did the first 10 years. He was healthy. He played an average of 140 games per year. And, stayed healthy. Definitely, no doubt about it. Making him one of the best players ever. Due to his remarkable performance, Albert Pujols is a guaranteed first ballot Hall of Famer. He had stats from a 21-year-old just coming up that, made you think of Lou Gehrig. This was his first string of stats. I'm sorry. I'm still talking RBIs and home runs, but he was 34, 127, right? 34 home runs, 127 RBIs. I'm just going to read this off in a quick little list. 43, 124, 46, 123, 41, 117, 49, 137, 32, 103, 37, 116, 47, 135, 42, 118. Oh, what the hell kind of stretch was that? The guy was like a guarantee, And so that's impressive. Now, Mike Trout often is heralded as one of the most talented players of his generation. Like we said, he's faced challenges due to injuries. Now, injuries have definitely affected Trout's ability to perform. And here's the issue. The Hall of Fame is traditionally viewed through the lens of statistics. Home runs, batting average, on-base percentage, other metrics that reflect a player's overall contribution. Including some of the new aspects as well. For a player like Trout, who has already established himself as one of the best hitters in the game while healthy, missing significant time can, hinder his ability to reach milestones. And milestones are what you need to get into the Hall of Fame. Let's get real. For example, if Trout were to retire with the games played, fewer games played than other Hall of Famers, without reaching certain statistical benchmarks like 500 home runs or 3,000 hits, voters may struggle with the decision to induct him, even though he has great talent. This situation creates kind of a paradox where fans celebrate his greatness while at the same time grappling with the reality that injuries, overshadowed his achievements. Has his injuries and the amount of games played impacted our perception of what is necessary to get elected into the Hall of Fame? How can we talk of him as being a generational player in one breath and then say in the other he will not be elected to the Hall of Fame. Because if he proceeds at this pace of games played and ends his career as suggested, that's going to be a fact. I mean, wow, that's something hard to swallow. I like Mike Trout. I want to see him play. I want to see him play meaningful playoff games, leading his team. Reality, though, is the opposite. Is it time to maybe relieve him of some of his pressure? What about a trade on the upcoming offseason? Seriously. I mean, what could the Angels get for a great but often injured player? Probably nothing, you know? I mean, obviously it's not as much as he would when he was healthy and playing, that's for sure. But what if you woke up to read this one November morning? Los Angeles Angels trade Mike Trout to the Philadelphia Phillies for 20-year-old prospect Brian Rincon, shortstop, and 19-year-old number 16 prospect Alexis De La Cruz, starting pitcher, along with $10 million per year to help on the remaining contract that runs to 2030. He's currently making $37 million yearly. Phillies announced Mike Trout will be their new DH in 2025. I don't know. If I was the Phillies, I'd do it. I mean, that would be wild. Why not? Mike Trout is originally from Millville, New Jersey, and Citizens Bank Park is only 45 minutes from Millville. What a homecoming that would be. Jeez. So, hey, it was cool looking at Albert Pujols and his comparison, but I've got another one for you. Let's take a look at a couple of players who Mike Trout has been compared with, and one of his peers. Now, this comparison is based on trying to make the same games played and at-bats for all three. But Mike Trout at age 19, first season, through age 25, his seventh season, compared very similar to Mickey Mantle, age 19, first season, to age 25, his seventh season. Also, current-day Aaron Judge, age 24, first season, to age 32, his ninth season. I found it pretty interesting to compare the starts of the careers of these guys, and all three had amazing starts. Mickey Mantle struggled with knee issues from 64 to 68, and that's what cut his career short at age 36. He was only 36 in 1968 after playing 18 years, and he averaged 134 games out of 152 games played in his career. There's a big difference there, though. Back in the day when Mantle played, players played. They played hurt, they played gimped up, and that's why his teammates always looked at him, seeing him tape himself up before the game. Today's players, they don't do that with the money that they make, obviously. I mean, just look at Aaron Judge. He's averaged 105 out of 162 games played so far in his career. He's struggled with injuries, and he's only played 150-plus games twice in his career. So he's got a 9-year career going, and he's only played 150 games twice. If Judge plays out his contract until age 39 in 2031, that'll give him a 16-year career, and maybe it projects to about 1,680 games played, 7,300 plate appearances, 560 home runs, 1,300 RBIs, and maybe he can shoot for a 280 batting average. Those are interesting stats for a career if he stays healthy. Now, on the YouTube site, as always, I posted a couple of statistics to take a look at, some more graphical interface of the comparison of Mike Trout, Mickey Mantle, and Aaron Judge. The WAR for these players, Mike Trout leads with 54.6, Mickey Mantle 52.7, and Aaron Judge 49.1. Don't forget, this is the 7-year span to begin their careers. The amount of games played, Mike Trout at 925 games, Mickey Mantle leads with 952, and Aaron Judge about 946. In home runs, Trout with 201, Mickey Mantle with 207, and Aaron Judge, he's 298, and he's just a couple away from 300, which would be the fastest 300 in Major League Baseball history. As far as RBIs, Mike Trout 569, Mickey Mantle 669, and Judge leading the three of them at 675. The big topics here, batting average, we've got Mike Trout at 306, Mickey Mantle leading at 316, and Judge at 286. I like this. This is really interesting. To compare the three of them after hearing about people compare them and stuff, it's quite interesting. But, switching back to Mike Trout, I wonder if he can rejuvenate his career. It's challenging to compare players in baseball, and determine a declining career. What would they be? Are they productive enough to handle some lean years towards the end? That's the thing that amazes you with Albert Pujols with his first 10 years. So the first 10 years, Albert Pujols was a 332 career average. Then the next 10 years, here's a big-ass difference. Now, he went from a 332 average all the way down to 257. Now, that's huge. His last 11 years in the majors, he led the league in 0 categories, while his first 10 was 27 categories he led in. So, could that be Mike Trout? Will he have enough great seasons to outweigh the short ones? I'm not really sure. But, I found something else that was interesting. Looking at Mike Trout, it would be a loss of baseball if we don't have dominant generational players. Now, even Hall of Fame players can have amazing seasons and then some average ones. Let's take a quick look at how Mike Trout compares to 2 Hall of Famers who had incredible first halves of their career. Frank Robinson led in numerous hitting categories in his first 10 years, even winning 2 MVP awards and becoming the only player in Major League Baseball history to win an MVP in both leagues. Also, Ken Griffey Jr. had an amazing first 12 years of his career, leading in home runs, RBIs, other categories, then didn't perform as well in the next 10 years. So, it's kind of fascinating to see how the decline of Albert Pujols, Ken Griffey Jr., Frank Robinson, and now possibly Mike Trout have similarities. But the big question will be, does Mike Trout have enough games played to make it to Cooperstown? Comparing his stats through season 14 to Griffey's stats through season 11 and Frank Robinson's through season 10, it's clear that Mike Trout has missed a lot of games. By the way, Frank Robinson was one of the greatest players in Major League Baseball history. And it's a shame he never really got that credit. We all remember Ken Griffey Jr. and his dominance, but Frank Robinson's career is definitely worth checking out. Visit the YouTube site for that, and I'll have some graphical statistics there, make it a lot easier to look it up and look through it. So, this is a topic I wanted to bring up. A baseball career is a long journey, and it's not easy to maintain a high level of play throughout. I've always thought that even though the greatest careers consist of about 4 years of okay performance at the start, followed by 7 to 9 outstanding years that define one's career, and then a decline of about 4 years. If you follow this routine, that would make for a 15 to 17 year career on average. We'll delve a bit deeper into this during the off-season show on the Hall of Fame. Until then, it looks like we're wrapping up today's episode. I hope you enjoyed our 10th episode. Mike Trout, finished? On Mo's World, the Baseball Podcast. Join us weekly, new episodes released on Friday for about a 20-minute broadcast. Thank you again for listening, and please tell your friends about us. Next week's episode will be a, old-time This Week in Baseball kind of episode, as we look at how the trading deadline and injuries have impacted multiple teams. We already did that shit already, so we're really going to concentrate on what's going on in baseball this week. So whose world is it? It's Mo's World.